Good afternoon, good evening, good morning, wherever you might be on this planet of ours. Welcome to Emergency Management Associates. My name is Ron Tyler. I want to welcome you to our program tonight. We're coming to you from the Area Command, 392 miles west of Kitty Hawk Beach, North Carolina. As I have been doing for quite some time, we're going to start off this program with the Pledge of Allegiance and the United States National Anthem. At this time, I would ask everyone to please rise.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Now would you make welcome straight from Washington, D.C., the United States Army Corps Quartet.
Yeah.
Oh, say can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rockets' red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the
Oh yeah! Come on, folks, let them know it. America's finest right there.
That's true. There, America's finest is right there. I don't ever want to not say that. This is one organization right here that has not lied to us. I want to thank the United States Army, the Marine Corps, the Navy, the Air Force, Space Force, and Coast Guard for all that they do. I want to thank them from the bottom of my heart. I have spoken to and had relationships with many of the military armed forces during my life and during my term as a police officer. I had the chance to work with them, work around them. It was a fabulous experience. No, they didn't lie to me. I don't think they've lied to anybody. Our government does lie to us. About 1 hour ago, I was getting ready to come on the air, and our program was attacked. Our computer was attacked viciously. I was finally able to get rid of them thanks to malware and actually Malwarebytes, the company Malwarebytes, and my computer itself helping me to rid of the Trojan attack. I believe it was much more than just a Trojan, though. Anyway, I had to completely get rid of them and reboot the system and reinstall everything. And we're back here to talk about it now, about just an hour later. I was just about to come on the air, early. Got attacked again. It's not the first time. Now, I've got a lot to talk about tonight. I would hope that you would stay here with me during the entire program. What we have to talk about is essential for everybody. I want to welcome everybody here that's watching our program. I love all of you. I love our country, but I'm not happy with them right now. There's a lot going on that we need to talk about on a worldwide basis. Yes, I understand we don't have people in the other countries that are citizens of the United States. But we have people in power that are making a mockery of our country. Let me show you this. I hate going here. I really hate going here. I have a bunch of questions. You all probably have your own questions, but I have a bunch of them, far more than we're going to talk about here. What if the children that are missing are not dead in Maui? What if the children that are missing in Maui are not dead? What if there are tunnels and this whole thing was used for human trafficking? What if over 100, what if over 1,000 people still have not been recovered? That's the number. Probably closer to 1,100 people have not been recovered from the fires in Maui. I want to ask, where are the bodies of the men, women, and children who perished in the fire? What if? There was a hoax that was perpetrated by an alleged news outlet. And those of you that are over on our EMA threads on Messenger know about this. On all of them. Allegedly, FEMA teams and the FBI that were assisting other teams in recovering remains, supposedly on the orders of a high-ranking official, the order was given to transport the remains to a seemingly unknown location to be buried in a large mass unmarked grave. Yes, that was a rumor that has been floating around. There is a huge cover-up story about that actually happening with multiple arrests, including one shot-down helicopter and the U.S. military catching FEMA and the FBI agents in mid-process of executing this supposed plan. It did not happen. The hoax was perpetrated by a supposed news outlet. The news outlet's trying to cover its butt by saying it's a parody. They're saying it's a parody. The picture you're looking at right now is an image that was posted June 29th, 2022 in San Diego. It has nothing to do with Maui. Posted again June 29th, 2022 in San Diego. Yesterday, Thursday, August 24th, 2023, the Associated Press reported on social media posts falsely claiming that a top FEMA official had been arrested for treason following the agency's response to the devastating wildfires on Maui. The claim that was made was Eric Hooks, the Deputy Director of the FEMA, the Federal Emergency Management Agency, had been arrested in connection with the agency's response to the Maui wildfires. I want to report to you, it was fake. The military did not arrest FEMA Deputy Administrator Eric Hooks despite online claims. Yes, the Associated Press reported it, but I went deep within my own military sources to find out that it was false. And my military sources were angry that this was put out. There is no evidence of the Federal Emergency Management Agency's Deputy Director being arrested. This claim originated on a site that regularly publishes fabricated stories. The story says Hooks, who has served as FEMA's Deputy Administrator since 2021, had ordered agents in Maui to deny fire victims food and water and to inhibit civilian relief efforts to stop by any means necessary displaced people from exiting fire-ravaged Lahaina, and to dispose of bodies as discriminately as possible. It was a lie. It was an out-and-out lie. Do I need to make that any clearer? This was just one more strain of misinformation that has emerged following the catastrophic wildfires in Hawaii. It pits the United States Marine Corps against the Federal Emergency Management Agency. Again, it did not happen. We have already debunked a claim about Marines and FEMA agents allegedly involved in an epic gunfight with FBI and FEMA agents. Now, we're looking at other unfounded allegations from the same source. The source? Real Raw News. Real Raw News is a website that regularly publishes fabricated stories, including stories about Q, including stories that they have prosecuted upper government and former government officials over in Cuba at Guantanamo Bay. It's not true. All of those stories have been fabricated. All of those stories have been fabricated. Very close friends of mine have posted, or excuse me, did post, but reposted information from that website. I want to tell you right now, any information coming from Real Raw News is a lie, an out and out fabrication. There are no government officials over at Guantanamo Bay that are awaiting any kind of military tribunal. Don't believe anything that this agency says. I've been investigating this agency, this alleged news agency, for many months. Earlier today, I went on a deep diving mission. All of my military sources, all of them, have said that these stories are fabricated. They are lies. So folks, do not believe anything that the Real Raw News puts out online. Now, the Associated Press assessment, false. A FEMA spokesman told the Associated Press that Mr. Hooks has not been arrested. And in fact, he is in Washington, D.C. today, doing his job, making sure other people in Hawaii have what they need to operate. That story website publishes humor, parody, and satire. It's previously published similar false stories about supposed arrests of public officials. We have found no evidence whatsoever to support any of this alleged news agency posts, ever. Not now, not ever. Nor were there any federal criminal court findings or filings against Hooks. We searched a database of electronic court records. That's how far we took this. But there is a lot of news that I need to share with you. I need to play this. This did involve FEMA, and this did happen. I want to make this very clear. This did happen. And yet no one has been disciplined as a result. This is inexcusable and offensive. I am going to play it for you because you all need to hear it. This needs to go out everywhere.
Facing the usual grilling from journalists, the Emergency Management Agency had its own employees, you see them sitting down right there, pretend to be reporters and ask the questions. FEMA calls it an error in judgment. I understand the Department of Homeland Security says something very different.
A strong response from the Department of Homeland Security, which oversees FEMA, and I want to read part of it. Quote, "This is inexcusable and offensive."
Okay? Inexcusable and offensive. They posed a news conference and put FEMA employees in seats in front of the rostrum and had an official from FEMA up there fielding questions that had been pre-prepared answers with. And the FEMA employees in the audience were supposedly supposed to be newsmen, and they were not. FEMA got caught red-handed. That is true. This is absolutely true. I spent 2 hours today researching this to make sure that I had all my ducks in a row. This was supposedly happened 2 days ago. That news conference supposedly happened 2 days ago. And yet this whole thing continues. I kid you not. I want you to see this film put together by CBS News. I'm sorry. Hold on a second.
For a closer look at how the federal government is assisting Hawaii and preparing for the next disaster, we're joined by FEMA Administrator Deanne Criswell. Good morning to you.
Good morning, Margaret.
The president told Americans that he has put FEMA on standby to deal with any impact from Hurricane Hillary. What are you preparing for at this point?
Margaret, it's a really good question because Hurricane Hillary is going to produce some really significant impacts to Southern California. We have a team that is embedded in California in the state EOC, and we also have several staff. One of our offices is there in California, so we had a lot of staff already on the ground. We are moving in some additional resources to make sure that we can support anything that California might need, but they're a very capable state as well, and they have a lot of resources, and so if it does exceed what their capability is, we're going to have additional search and rescue teams, commodities on hand to be able to go in and support anything that they might ask for.
Well, I know you will be traveling with President Biden to Hawaii. What is it that you think he needs to see firsthand?
You know, I think the biggest thing that the president needs to see is just the actual impact, right? It really feels different when you're on the ground and can see the total devastation of Lahaina town. And then he'll talk to some of the families that have been impacted by this and hear their stories. And what he's going to be able to do is he's really going to be able to, one, bring hope to this community, but also reassure them that the federal government is there, that he has directed them to bring the resources they need to help them as they begin to start their recovery and their rebuilding process, and do it in a way that they want us to help them with, right? This is their town, and we want to be able to support their vision for what Lahaina town rebuilds to look like.
Well, I know federal investigators are now on the ground from ATF to assist with the probe into how this wildfire started. The governor of Hawaii has said many times that he believes that global warming is really the cause of what happened here. Now there's scrutiny of human decision making too. Does his conclusion about global warming match the facts you've seen?
You know, I think what I would say is that we are seeing, right, a significant increase in the severity of the types of events that we're experiencing, the severe weather events that are fueled by these extreme winds, which is what we saw here, right? Records, decades of drought, dry conditions, and then these winds. And so when all of these different climate-related events come together, you know, it produces these catastrophic type events. You know, the governor has ordered an assessment of this entire situation, and I would defer to you and the other officials that will be doing the investigation to really better understand what the overall cause was.
But if it makes natural disasters that much more intense, that ends up on your desk, right? So do you think that FEMA needs to be doing more to anticipate some of these worst case scenarios and decisions by local officials that make these things sometimes even more impactful?
Yeah, Margaret, I think, you know, the threats we're seeing today are very different than what we saw 5 to 10 years ago, right? They are more intense, they are more complex. And so we do need to make sure that we're working with all of our communities to understand what the risks are going to continue to look like as we go into the next 5 or 10 years. And so we are working very hard with all of our local and state officials to better anticipate and understand what the risk landscape is going to look like, what types of mitigation measures they can put in place to help reduce the impacts of these risks, and help communities with their preparedness plans, and help individuals make sure they understand what the risks are going to be. You know, and thanks to the investments through the bipartisan infrastructure law, we have been given additional funding to really go into these communities and help them anticipate and put mitigation projects in place to reduce the impacts that we're seeing from these severe weather events.
So should there be a national standard, for example, on when to activate a siren?
I think that's going to be something that's up to each individual community, because sirens are used for a variety of things. I think the most important thing is that communities use the tools that they have to understand how they're going to prepare and warn individuals, and they put those plans in place.
The cost of this is going to be a conversation here in Washington. As you know, you testified before Congress back in July that FEMA's disaster funds would be depleted by late August. That comes right in that Atlantic hurricane season time period. FEMA officials said on Friday to reporters that the agency has sufficient resources to meet the immediate life-saving operations. Those things seem contradictory. How close are you to depleting this disaster fund?
Yeah, we're watching our disaster relief fund very closely, and the projections that we put out there, the analysis that we do, takes into account the response to a major event like we are responding to in Maui, or that we will respond to potentially in California. Our estimates do still stay that we may have a depletion of our fund now. It's pushed into the middle of September. And as we get closer to that, I mean, this is a day-by-day monitoring of the situation. We will start to move some of our recovery projects and delay them until the next fiscal year, so we can assure that we have enough funding to support any responses to do life-saving, life-sustaining needs for any of these systems that are developing, whether it's California or what we're seeing in the Atlantic.
Congress doesn't come back till after Labor Day to authorize new funding. So can you say at this point that what you have in your hands won't impact operations?
It will not impact response, because we will push recovery into the next fiscal year to ensure that we have enough funding to support any responses through the end of this fiscal year.
Okay. So is $12 billion, which is what President Biden is asking Congress for, is that going to be enough given what you are seeing happen?
Yeah, the $12 billion was going to be able to cover some of the immediate needs that we were going to need to get through this fiscal year. As we're continuing to see the increase in these severe weather events, that dollar amount may need to go up as we go into next fiscal year, and what we're going to need to do to be able to continue to respond to the increased number of events that are happening across the nation.
Administrator Criswell, thank you for your time and good luck.
Okay, I want to take this back just about a minute. Watch Criswell's and watch the news reporter anchor for Face the Nations. Watch their eyes, watch how they blink about once every second.
Congress for. Is that going to be enough given what you are seeing happen?
Look at that.
Yeah, the $12 billion was going to be able to cover some of the immediate needs that we were going to need to get through this fiscal year. As we're continuing to see the increase in these severe weather events, that dollar amount may need to go up as we go into next fiscal year, and what we're going to need to do to be able to continue to respond to the increased number of events that are happening across the nation.
Administrator Criswell, thank you for your time and good luck.
Okay, you saw the reporter's eyes. You saw Administrator Criswell blink and blink and blink and blink and blink. Okay? Folks, I have already been through extensive training when speaking to suspects about whatever it might be. That is one sign that they are lying through their teeth. Plain and simple. They are lying through their proverbial teeth. As you already know, I cannot stand these people. I have no room for them in my life. If they lived in my neighborhood, I would not be anywhere near them, regardless of whether they wanted to introduce themselves and try to make friends. No way in hell. And I would tell them just that. I have no regard for stupidity. Plain and simple. I don't like what they have done. End of discussion on that. What is going on in Maui is criminal. I've kind of pointed that out over this last week. I tried to report the truth as I saw it and as I see it now. I have shown you all video over the last 2 weeks showing you the area of Maui and Lahaina that was devastated. How cars were burned through. Aluminum burns at 1350 degrees Fahrenheit. You didn't see too many door handles on cars, did you? Nope. Anything that was aluminum was gone. Glass burns at a much lower heat frequency, but glass burns and melts. What has gone on here is inexcusable. We touched on it last night. Blue and green lasers start fires. When they use blue lasers, anything blue is not burned. The same thing with green lasers. Okay? What happened there in Lahaina was planned. In my opinion, it was planned. I have shown you without a shadow of a doubt what Mayor Bisson has done. I have shown you the antics of the Maui police chief, Pelletier. I have seen corrupt police chiefs. You and I, all of us, have seen mayors, government officials in every country around the world. We have seen them when they're angry, we have seen them when they are being tyrants, and we have seen them when they have lied to us. We know when they are lying to us. Bisson avoided a reporter's questions yesterday. There isn't one person that I know, including Eric West, the realtor, who I've shown on this program what I feel quite a lot, at least 2 or 3 times on this program, showing him interviewing survivors of the fire. I am frankly disappointed in government officials. Putting out laws, signing laws into effect, and then burning down a community so developers can come helter-skelter in because this was a so-called natural disaster, and they can come in and helter-skelter take over the property and build multi-story, dense population homes, properties, meaning condos and apartments, not single-family dwellings like they had over in Lahaina. Yes, they did have hotels. Yes, they did have condominiums. But this is, they're asking for denser populations. They have burned through the town of Lahaina. It will never be restored as it was. You can't restore 100-year-old buildings, and some of them may have been older than that, dating back to the time of Hawaii King Kamehameha I. Yeah, folks, Lahaina was a central point for the government of Hawaii before it became a state. Folks, I am deeply disappointed in our politicians, whether it be over in Maui or not. I don't believe that most of these politicians will tell us the truth. At some point in time, they will do whatever it takes to lie to us, to get their own agendas through. That's what happened in Maui, and that's what we're going to see continue to happen, and I will be on top of this. I will be on top of this because we have many of the EMA family that have been hurt by what has happened there. And folks, when this first happened in Maui, I also reported on fires over on the Big Island, over on the western side of the Big Island. Yes, there was fires there and property damage as well. We can't forget those people that lost their homes over on the Big Island. Now, one of the reasons that the Maui Fire Department didn't have enough personnel fighting these fires on Maui. Just 2 days prior to the Maui fires, there were fires over on the west side of the Big Island of Hawaii. And Maui sent firefighters there to help them fight the fire. And that fire on the Big Island was still burning when the Maui fire hit. That's why Maui was not fully staffed. Why things happened. But it's also a governmental responsibility. And I will not stop until we find the truth. Come heck or high water. Whether I stay here on YouTube or whether I move over to Rumble, it's immaterial. I will stay and report the truth about everything. Earthquakes, hurricanes, tornadoes, fires, everything. Flooding, everything. Natural and man-made disasters. I will not stop until everyone has the truth. You can count on that. I took an oath long time ago to uphold the Constitution of the United States and defend it against all enemies, foreign and domestic, to protect the public. My oath has no expiration. Any law enforcement officer that has been retired, their oath has no expiration. Many military took an oath as well. Their oath does not have an expiration. Now, I want to talk about something else here involving President Trump. He was indicted. He's been indicted 4 times by wicked, yes, I said wicked, lying individuals who should be fired, terminated, and they themselves arrested and put in prison to face trial for what they've done. when you are indicted for saying there's election fraud, that, folks, is a representative for fraud. You know that the people that are perpetrating this indictment or these indictments are committing fraud, and they're backing it up. In the coming days and months, we're going to find the truth of this out. I know that for a fact. Let me play an interview for you that happened yesterday. And it wasn't just Newsmax that covered this.
Over the years do the same thing, whether it's Hillary Clinton or Stacey Abrams or many others. When you have that great freedom to challenge, you have to be able to, otherwise you're going to have very dishonest elections. What has taken place here is a travesty of justice. We did nothing wrong. I did nothing wrong. And everybody knows it. I've never had such support. And that goes with the other ones too. What they're doing is election interference. They're trying to interfere with an election. There's never been anything like it in our country before. This is their way of campaigning. And this is one instance, but you have 3 other instances. It's election interference. So I want to thank you for being here. We did nothing wrong at all. And we have every right, every single right, to challenge an election that we think is dishonest, that we think it's very dishonest. So thank you all very much, and I'll see you very soon. Thank you very much.
Did you pardon yourself? President Trump for your president.
How was this different from the previous investigation, sir?
Let's stay on this a little. Let's keep going here. Just watch. He deserves our full attention. He's going to board Trump Force 1. Just watch, folks. This is unprecedented. Again, it doesn't matter if you're Republican, conservative, Democrat, liberal, independent. It doesn't matter. If the justice system, if a prosecutor can go after you because they don't like you or don't like what you've done, this is no longer a fair, an honest, a constitutional republic. There's Trump as he gets on the plane.
Okay, it's unreal, guys.
One way to avoid expensive costs.
It's unreal. This should never have happened. This should never have happened. Yet it is. It is very much fake news. The prosecutors have very much committed crimes. Now, I am not, and I will repeat, I am not a slave, I am not an employee of a news organization. I am me. I am me. And any of you that know me, any of you that know where I've come from and who I am, you know that I don't deviate from what I'm talking about. I'm quite upset about what has happened, as many of you are as well. I won't stop until we get answers. And if they continue to deliver false promises, false hopes that squash us in our dreams, then you know that what they've done is stimulated false doctrine. And they believe that if they repeat it over and over and over and over again, however many times they say it, they believe that what they say has no consequence other than telling us what to do. That if they say it often enough, then we'll believe it. Folks, I'm going to tell you this. For those of you in Canada, in Australia, in the United States, in Mexico, Costa Rica, South America, anywhere South America, in Europe, Scandinavia, if you're being lied to, you know it, and you feel it, and you should openly rebel. They may try to impose upon you as many governments do. When I was in Sweden from 1975 until I don't even remember when in 77, I've forgotten. I was there over 2 years. I saw corruption. I saw governments taking advantage of people to the extent that the Swedish people were paying 70% of their wages to the government in the form of taxes. Yes, they got free health care. They got subsidized alcohol. Sometimes they even got subsidized housing. But if you didn't toe the mark with the government, you would lose that. If you did not adhere to the government, you were not allowed to be buried in a state church plot, in a state church cemetery. You had to adhere to what the government told you to do. Back at the time, here in the United States, we were paying 35% of our taxes, or excuse me, we were paying 35% of our income in taxes to the government. Now, we still have federal income tax here in the United States. It's still around 35 to 40% of our income, except the government is taking taxes on the gasoline that we purchase, the fuel oil, the natural gas, the electricity that we purchase. The government takes money away from us when we go and buy groceries every time we go to the store. Anywhere from 7% to 11% of the cost of our groceries is taxes. So here in the United States, each and every one of us is paying probably close to 60 to 70% of our income to the government in the form of taxes. We pay taxes on everything we buy, whether it be plane fare, hotel accommodations, whatever. Those things are taxed and feed us to death. They take our money. They take whatever they can. I kid you not. I kid you not. I have seen it. I know for a fact that it happens, and it's happening to all of us today. Fact. I was hoping that news story was not going to end like it did, because there's a lot more to that story than they were telling us. A lot more to that story. I'm going to try to pull up some information for you right now, because I believe that you need to hear it. I'm not happy to be talking about it. It does not bring me any joy or anything. What I'm trying and attempting to do is passing on information to you to help each and every one of you, my family members, my friends. Folks, I don't know what to say. Susie Fujinaga said she shared yesterday's program that we put out with the leadership in her town, and is thanking me for all I do. I appreciate that. I really do. But until the powers that be stop what they're doing, nothing's going to change. Our lives will be changed, but nothing else is going to change. Because they have no desire or willpower to try to stop what happened. And it's not going to change. It will just continue. Yesterday, former President Trump flew to Atlanta, Georgia. He was indicted last week on charges relating to what happened in 2020. Fulton County District Attorney fooled around with the charges, and that's all coming out. And when it finally comes out, she may herself be indicted for falsifying records. I have talked many times about falsifying documents. When I was a police officer, it was a felony in California to falsify information. It was a felony to falsify documents. For me, I was a federal police officer, so then it became a federal crime. But nowadays, people are falsifying all kinds of documents. The truth is going to come out. Former President Donald Trump told Newsmax and the other reporters yesterday that getting his mug shot taken at the Fulton County Jail was a terrible experience. The other people who were indicted alongside of him, former Mayor Governor Giuliani, Mike, one of President Trump's close advisors, Mike, I can't remember his name right now. I will remember it. But all of them got their mugshots taken at the county jail. Giuliani and President Trump, we saw their mugshots. Giuliani held contempt. You could see the contempt in his face from his mugshot. The same thing that I showed you with President Trump. Being indicted for anything is not fun. That's not it. I'm sorry. This is it here. This is President Trump's mugshot. And he put it out on his personal social media site. Trump joked, "I've never heard the words mugshot. They didn't teach me that at the Wharton School of Finance." He said it's a very sad experience. It's a very sad day for our country. This is weaponized Justice Department. The former president was fingerprinted, booked, and photographed at the Atlanta jailhouse at about 7:30 p.m. Eastern Time Wednesday. He was released on a $200,000 bond. Meadows, Mr. Meadows, yes. Thank you, Vicki. Mike Meadows. No, Pompeo's probably going to face his own very soon because he's up to his ears with Biden. But the former president was mugshotted and fingerprinted, and as the sheriff of Fulton County, the sheriff told us that he was going to treat President Trump as he would treat any other prisoner. Really. I'll come back to that statement in a minute. But he had to post a $200,000 bond. He's posted $100,000 bonds all over this country. His surrender Wednesday came after a grand jury indicted him at the behest of the Fulton County District Attorney Fani Willis, and she's going to get hers at some point. Fani Willis trumped up charges, excuse the pun. I'm not using it as a pun. But she trumped up charges allegedly trying to overturn the 2020 election. It's just like one thing after the next. Trump said that. And what they want to do is they want to try and wear you out. It's just a horrible thing that they're doing. And I've never seen anything like it. President Trump said this is a third world country. It's not over. It's not over at all. President Trump said last night that the myriad prosecutions leveled against him throughout the country are meritless. He said that numerous times now. Fani Willis has indicted 18 co-defendants for trying to subvert Georgia's 2020 election results. Trump also faces charges referred to an indictment in New York City obtained by the Manhattan District Attorney Alvin Bragg, and 2 others obtained by Special Counsel Jack Smith. Trump and 2 of his children are being sued by the Democratic New York Attorney General Letitia James over allegations of widespread fraud through the Trump Organization. And he's being sued by advice columnist E. Jean Carroll for defamation. Really? It seems to me, and I've been watching that case, it seems to me that she's been defaming the former president. And why did she come forward so many years after this alleged crime? The statute of limitations long time past. Don Patoka says it's beyond political. It's about rule of law. And it seems like these so-called prosecutors don't know anything about rule of law. They have violated the former president's rights. They have violated his family's rights. And they've also violated our rights, yours and mine. President Trump says they have no case against him at all. They do it to try to get elected. But they also do it in coordination with the Department of Justice in Washington, D.C. Where does that take us? That takes us to federal crimes committed by the federal United States Attorney General. Yeah, folks, Attorney General Garland has blood on his hands. He himself has blood on his hands for what he's done. Just like, exactly like, what has happened to the people of Maui. That was set up. This was set up. I don't like saying this. This does not bring me any joy at all. What has happened in Maui and what has happened to President Trump is a political setup. By Mr. Joseph Biden, the President of the United States. He said before he was elected that he would do whatever it took to make sure President Trump never runs for the office again. And that's exactly what Biden has done. He has weaponized the justice system to go after Biden and anyone, or go after President Trump and anyone else that may be affiliated with him, and you and I. Biden has said that he will go after all the rest of us as well for supporting President Trump. Yeah. Canadian Patriot One says Trump looks pissed beyond compare, as he should be. Each and every one of us should be really pissed. Very pissed. Now, folks, I may be coming on the air tomorrow afternoon. Not tomorrow night, but tomorrow afternoon. I want to talk about earthquakes in California. We have had an increase in earthquakes in California, Southern California, and I want to address that tomorrow afternoon. So if you will allow me to, we won't talk about any earthquakes tonight. That will be had tomorrow afternoon. I usually don't come on the air on Saturdays, but I feel it an obligation because of what we're going through and what we're going to see. Like I said, there's a very much an increase in earthquakes in California. And not just an increase in earthquakes, but the strength of the earthquakes as well. So we'll address that tomorrow night. Now, in closing, I want to turn the tide of this conversation with us tonight. Please, folks, we have 84 thumbs up. Please, folks, if you find it within your hearts, if you have gotten anything out of this program tonight, please give us a thumbs up. Also, leave us comments after this program is done. That also helps us. Don't also, and I think I may have mentioned this at the beginning, I wanted everybody to stay until the end of this broadcast. I think it's pertinent to every one of us that's here. What we've talked about tonight is affecting everybody. That's why I bring it out, and that's why I'm going to continue to talk about this. I'm not going to stop. But right now, I want to alleviate some of that tension. So, I just wanted to let you know, I received my 2023 Social Security stimulus package. It did not contain even 2 tomato seeds. It did not contain a pancake mix. It did not even contain a discount coupon to KFC. And by the way, they took out the KFC here in Morganton, North Carolina. It's gone. It's an empty building now. They didn't give me a prayer rug. They didn't send me a Biden super speech decoder ring. But they did send me a machine to blow smoke up my butt. They also didn't send me a Bud Light. But they did blame it on Trump. And they did send me a Trump poster that said, blame it on Trump, from my front yard. But the kicker is, all the directions were in Spanish, and yours will also arrive very soon. Okay? The one whom Jesus loved said, decoder ring? Yeah, a Biden speech decoder ring. So understand what Biden's talking about when nobody else can understand him. How about that? Chris Burke says, I used to work for KFC. Well, my sister used to work for KFC as well, for years. Fun, fun, fun. Anyway, guys, that's what I have for you tonight. Now, as I have been doing on a regular basis, I want to share something with you tonight. And I've shared this scripture with you before because I truly love it. It's a very important scripture in my book, and it has everything to do tonight with what we've been talking about. I'm not going to apologize for anything that I've said tonight. What I've seen and heard today from leadership of our nation and various states and countries, I'm not happy with. So this scripture very much points out where I'm coming from. Comes from 1 Timothy chapter 6. I'm going to start with verse 5. Perverse disputings of men of corrupt minds, and destitute of the truth. Surpassing that gain is godliness. From such withdraw thyself. Not from ungodliness. Don't withdraw yourself from godliness, but ungodliness. Okay? Verse 6. But godliness with contentment is great gain. For we brought nothing into this world, and it is certain we can carry nothing out. And having food and raiment, let us therewith be content. But they that will be rich fall into temptation and a snare, and into many foolish and hurtful lusts, which drown men in destruction and perdition. For the love of money is the root of all evil, which while some coveted after, and pierced themselves through with many sorrows. But thou, O man of God, this isn't talking just about men. This involves all you women as well. But thou, man of God, flee these things and follow after righteousness, godliness, faith, love, patience, and meekness. Fight the good fight of faith. Lay hold on eternal life, whereunto thou art also called, and hast professed a good profession before many witnesses. What is the Lord saying here to us? Yes, this is Paul talking in Timothy, telling his brother Timothy and the people that followed Timothy what they should be doing. becoming godly, walking the straight and narrow path, not listening to all this perverse talk and being carried away with it. As I said, I went deep diving into my sources today. Hours and hours of deep diving. And I found truth. I hope we have beat up and buried that news source, because it holds no water. Don't even go there. Follow the Lord. The only way you and I are only going to fall or find happiness in this life is by following God. That's it. I know that for a fact. Stay strong with your beliefs. On many programs throughout the years, I've talked about standing in holy places, and I'm going to repeat that tonight. The prophet of God told us, "Stand ye in holy places." That, folks, is where we need to be. Standing in holy places, standing before God and telling the truth. May God bless you this night with all that you stand in need of. May God help you and give you the things that you need. One of our own, Sharon, Sleeping Volcano, is having surgery at the University of Utah Hospital. We pray that her surgery will be successful, that her surgeon's hands will be blessed, and they will be blessed to follow what God has in need for her, to help her and bring her back to health. And also blessing her husband, who has also gone through his share of health needs. May they all be blessed and carry forth God's work. May God bless us all. May God be with us and help us in our own individual needs and lives. You know who you are. I do too. Have a good night, folks. If anything else happens tonight, we will be back on the air to talk about it as soon as the information becomes available. Until tomorrow afternoon, when we come back here and talk about earthquakes in California. May God be with you this day and always. May God bless you and be with you until we meet again. We will see you around the corner. Good night, everybody. Much love. I mean that. I need a producer. Have a good night, everybody.